You are ruled by emotion. And in today's Half Truth, that's exactly what we will be exploring. What emotions came up for you when I said that? Was it a immediate like, no way, how dare you? I am completely logical and rational. So I think that something that we get tricked into a lot as we are kind of experiencing our world is that we think that logic and rationality is like the be all and end all. There's a lot of kind of like great thinkers that talk about like logic and debate and argumentation, and all of those things are well and good. It's really great to have that kind of structured thought process to think through and talk about and discuss different ideas, and all of that works really well when emotion is not involved. The moment that emotion becomes involved, it takes over. It's the place where everything starts. Is it possible for you to not have an emotion about anything? Now, I think that apathy is also an emotion. So if you're experiencing apathy, that will lead you to assign some meaning to it, which then advises your actions. So while we think that logic is kind of the ruler of, like logic is how we win arguments, the better that I structure an argument, the way that I can give you all the facts and all the talking points and all of like the information that you need. And when I give you all of that information, you will then understand me. That's not actually how we connect with other people. And to understand other people in some ways, if you can be empathetic towards another person, you can understand where they're coming from, understand where they are existing. And oftentimes, in heated arguments, when there is like a duality, like a fight between two different sides, it's all emotional. We dress up our emotions and bury them under procedure. We bury them under politics. We bury them under, the constructs of society. And when you point to those things and say, like, these are the reasons that we have to remain logical and rational, it's very easy to ignore this like emotional component because like don't you dare call me emotional. Like, I'm not talking from emotion, I'm giving you all the logic and all the facts. Did you catch what emotion that I was expressing there? um, so when you can understand that emotion is where you start, you're literally a feeling machine. You have senses that perceive, and your perceptions are just of data, right? Like of light, of sound, of feeling, of touch, of taste. And then I'm missing one, but that's okay. So then, when you can understand that you are taking in data and the data is producing emotions, the emotions and the feelings that you have is where things start. Everything past that phase is a construction. You are creating that. You are creating the meaning on top of your feelings, on top of your emotions. And when you've created that meaning, you have a story that you then operate off of and you contribute towards through your subsequent actions. So, when you can understand that that meaning, the story that you create, is something that you construct, then you can then pause and ask yourself, is this the story that I'm trying to tell? This is kind of how, this is exactly how I work with people in terms of understanding that um, feeling is the source. Feeling is where things start. When you have a meaning, whatever meaning that you've assigned to, if it has become ingrained enough, you will forget that you are the one assigning that meaning. In fact, sometimes the meaning is assigned from a place outside of you. You're told that's what those feelings mean. And when you're told what those feelings mean and then you take it in, unconsciously you ingrain it into your actions so that you instantly move from a particular feeling to a particular action. And sometimes that's important, right? Especially when things are based on fear. If you see a tiger, you don't want to sit there and try to construct a story before reacting. Although that might be a constructed story. Like if you've seen like tigers outside, um, they're not always out on the hunt for you specifically. They can definitely be a threat, but they're also just trying to live their lives. Like maybe you're the one bothering them. When we have these things that are already constructed for us and we don't consider where we sit um, in that world, in that place, then we just become reactionary. We're not even thinking because our nervous system is tuned to fear, and that fear response is a very quick like fight or flight or freeze, and it just happens in an instant. So then when you understand that you are emotional first, number one, you can tend to your own emotions, tend to your own body field of, okay, I'm experiencing this thing, and I'm going to pause and reflect. And is the meaning that I've assigned to it accurate? Think about logic and rationality from that lens. What is actually, what evidence do I have actually that the story that I've put on to this feeling actually matches? Is there another story? Is there another way of considering the information so that I can make a new story about how I'm feeling? The other thing that comes when you realize that you are an emotional being is that everybody's an emotional being. Everybody works off of emotion. So when you are sitting around a family dinner table and having a heated argument, when you're talking with friends and on the verge of having a falling out, and any other one of those situations, remember that you're all being emotional right now. It's a statement of fact, it's not an accusation, and it's not a derogatory thing. It's simply an observation that you are working from the level of emotion first. And because that emotion has a unconscious or ingrained pattern of response, it stirs up something inside of you that feels so visceral that it can't be ignored. And the automatic action is to not listen and try to understand why somebody else might be feeling different, but to convince the other person that number one, their emotions are invalid, and number two, that my emotions are more valid than yours. And that's a great way to be, right? No. So think about that. If you can understand that other people will react emotionally, then you can even temper your own reaction to that because a person's emotional reaction will cause a reaction for you. Think about the idea of fighting fire with fire. Think about it logically and rationally. So, this could be one of those things that have multiple meanings. So, for example, like the idea that blood is thicker than water is a simplification of the full phrase, the blood of the coven is thicker than the water of the womb, which actually means that your found family is more, not reliable, but more like you can create deeper connections with found family than your family of origin per se. You could have both. You can have everything that you want. It's up to you. But if you can understand for a moment, think of the term fighting fire with fire. Doesn't make logical sense. From a perspective, from an emotional perspective, it makes absolute sense. Somebody has assaulted you, somebody has done something bad to you. I want to not just send the same thing back to them, but I'm going to send it back twice as much, 5 times as much, 1,000 times as much. I'm going to fight the fire that you're putting on me with an even bigger fire. Now, logically, if your house was burning down, would you start another fire and add to it? I don't think so. It logically doesn't make much sense. And I think that really highlights how emotions really rule a lot of what we do. And we disguise it through rationality by pulling facts and pulling figures, things to support our perspective so that we can discount others. So the next time that you are noticing that you've had an automatic reaction, you've felt something and you're getting ready to respond, to say that, hey, like, look, my way is better. I'm going to tell you the way that it is. Maybe pause for a moment and explore, ask some questions, be curious. And curiosity, for the sake of understanding, is different than, is not the same thing as acknowledging and accepting another person's stance. You can do your best to understand something and still disagree with it. So the next time that you are noticing this, first of all, within yourself, pause. Ask yourself what story that you're telling. And that's it. Notice that it's happening. The more that you practice this, the more that you'll begin to see in your interactions with other people that depending on how you engage with them, you can incite or create an emotional reaction in the other person. Sometimes you can use this for benefit to create like an emotion of safety, for example. The other way, though, is oftentimes because we are in a society that causes us to be in positions where we may experience stress and burnout. And if you are feeling stress and burnout and potentially fear that underlies all of this, then you may be projecting that emotion and spreading that emotion to other people. So ask yourself, are you working from a place of fear or are you working from a place of care and kindness? What emotion, what would be emotionally different for you if you paused for a moment to consider the feeling of others? This has been a half truth, and it's been really nice to spend the time with you. We'll see you in the field. Why do I do that?